Ken will be providing answers. My name is Martha. I'll be leading the discussion. Thanks for joining us. Pastor Ken?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I should introduce you. Today my guest is Pastor Senyo Ken Fiati. I'm sure most of you know him. He's been on our screens, and it's a privilege to have him. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think I'm grateful for the opportunity to be on this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pastor Ken,
Yeah.
today's show is very interesting because these things affect us on a daily basis.
Yeah.
There are questions lingering on people's minds. They want to find answers. Does love end?
that is a very big one. I think love in itself is a subject that we tend to misunderstand a lot. So I'll take it from my first occupation. My first occupation now is from the angle of a pastor. And if I take it from that angle, the love of God can never end. His love is unceasing, even when we flout his regulations. In his anger sometimes, like he did with the people of Israel, he can say he wants to perish them. He can say he's not going to be their God ever again, but he never says that his love for them has ended. So from that angle, I want to believe that love exists forever. In real life, from a parent's perspective, if we say in our local dialects that it's the child you love that you correct. So we tend to think that correction is rather an indicator of disgust or dislike. But I believe that it is the one that you love the most that would go wrong and you would want to correct. You correct because the word correct is supposed to bring back the person into what is right. And so even in that angle, that's what it's supposed to be. But because we tend to give a different understanding to love, we tend to think that relationships are hinged on love. But from a little study that I have been involved in, I realized that even marriage, you need only 25%. 25% of it is love. Because there are other things that come into making the marriage relationship work. You need to trust each other. That takes also 25%. You need to be committed to each other. And the key thing for me is that you should be able to communicate. And so these four things, so trust, commitment, communication, and then love, come together to become 100% for the relationship to work. And so to answer your question directly, I think that love does not end. That is why I would say that once people have ever seen each other, dated each other, being in a relationship that they believe and call love, then when they come back together and they're able to deal with the loose ends and the issues that affected them, that caused them to separate, there's a tendency or the proclivity for them to come back together. So taking it from God and even from life, my little experience, I think that love does not have an end.
Okay. So anytime a relationship ends, it's because of the excesses. So if those excesses are tackled, then there is love.
That's definitely
it never
it.
ends.
Yeah, because Stamata, the thing is that we let's do a search. Let's just conduct a research and ask people who say they are in love, why they are in love. A lot of the times we cannot even explain why we're in love.
Okay.
A lot of the times it also is because maybe the guy has what the woman wishes she can have. Maybe it's the color, the tone of his voice, the way he dresses, the car he drives, the family he comes from. Sometimes even ethnicity becomes a part of love relationships. And so we go into relationships because of certain thinkings. And so when the thinking is not materializing, that's what we call the excesses in the relationship. What makes it worse is the fact that most relationships starts with pretense. You don't like the smell from his mouth.
What you would
You
you
don't,
say?
you daren't say it. You don't like the way he speaks. You don't like certain things about him. But we say, oh, okay, let's work it out. And once we're together, we can shape it. It never works like that. So, yeah, the excesses. The excesses do not only come into being when the relationship is on. The excesses start right from the beginning of the relationship. And once we tackle them and deal with them, I think what we call love would be nice for us.
You know, my personal experience, I've always been attracted to very handsome guys. When I don't mind the color, but if you are well dressed, you speak well, and you are confident, I'm attracted. All right. Should that be a reason to fall in love? You know, appearance.
It's a problem. It's a problem. Then it's a matter. If that's what it is, then we cannot love God.
Okay.
Because the greater chunk of us have not seen God. So if we say we love God, then what are we loving? So if we have to love by sight, we haven't seen God. So how do we love him?
Okay.
I believe strongly that yes, it could be because of the looks, the aesthetics, the shape, the way the person carries himself.
Exactly.
They all form a part of it. But trust me, I'm attracted to intelligence.
Okay.
And when I say intelligence, not just how the person passes the exam, but how the person navigates life.
The world view.
Yes, how the person looks at things. I am attracted by people who can think. I think that's why I'm attracted to like my father in the Lord, Dr. Michael Woodhamicha, because I speak with him about any and everything, and he seems to have a mastery of it. So you see that this person has invested into life. So I think that for us as youth, when I say us as youth, it gets interesting because we've been youth for a long time.
Yeah.
We need to understand that investing in self for us to get better is a sure way of us getting any and everything that we need in life. Because that's more attractive. Somebody can wear white, but if it's not smart in the brain, the white within 30 minutes will become a different color. Somebody can speak well. There are people who can put words together well, but they don't even make sense to themselves. So we shouldn't build relationships on what I call the natural aesthetics, the things that we can see, what we can hear, but we should look deep. And I think that if we can have an understanding of who God is and how he loves us even before we love him. He forgives us even before we go to him and ask him. Then it makes relationships easy to piece together. Then the world can be a better place. Then excesses can be dealt with. There's nothing wrong with loving a smile in somebody's eyes. Who wants to wake up and see the
frown?
I was going to use an animal, the story that says that they said the ugliest of us will carry the load, and then the ape started crying.
Wow.
But everybody will want to wake up to something that is nice. But is it something that is just nice facially, or something that is nice beyond just the facial looks? And I think that once you feed yourself with knowledge, even your ugly, in quotes, can turn into beauty.
Yeah.
So it's relative.
Pastor Ken is here to answer all our questions.
Yeah.
So you can drop your questions in the comment section. All right. We are here live at the Makers Chapel International. Pastor Ken.
Yeah.
Is it okay to date somebody older than you?
I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I know of couples that even the lady is older than the man. It all comes back to those 4 things that I was talking about. And when these 4 things are in place and you can respect each other, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. People tend to advise against a younger guy in terms of like a guy being younger than the lady just because of science. But now we defy science, you understand? I have known you for decades and you haven't changed. You have looked good all this while. But somebody would, after 5 years, age, maybe because of the way the person carries himself, or circumstances that the person finds himself in. And so that's why they usually say that guys should be older than ladies. The other thing that I have grown to understand is that I think that if you're a guy and you're watching, you need to learn from this. We tend to think that women are not smart. And I have said this and had problems. If you underrate a woman, that's your sure way of failing in life. Because women are smarter. Women constantly evolve. That's why sometimes a woman will not even understand herself. A woman can cry and laugh all of a sudden. A woman can be cooking and take care of the kids. When I got married and I tried to multitask, then I realized how difficult it was. So women are smarter than we think they are. And so if we say the man should be older than the woman because of intelligence, then that is also a non-starter. Because some women really think. If you think that you can take advantage of a woman, it's just because the woman wants to accommodate you. It's not because you're smart. So when I hear people say the brain of a woman is like a clock, then I know that the person talking is not mature. So age is a number, but intelligence is something that you cannot run away from. Knowledge. That's why the Bible also talks about it. And that he says that get wisdom. And he says, with all that you get. Some versions say, in all thy getting. And I believe that it is an encapsulation of everything. Get wisdom. Maybe you have gotten knowledge before getting the wisdom. You've gotten wealth before getting the wisdom. Everything that you have been able to get, including the wisdom, get understanding. So knowledge without understanding, wisdom without understanding becomes a problem. So it's not mainly about age, but knowledge, wisdom, experience, respect, and how you decide to apply it. That is what makes relationships work. So a 20-year-old can marry a 25-year-old lady, and if they have all these things in place and they can respect and understand each other, then their relationships can work.
Wow. Was that good?
Yeah.
Most times when I watch movies, I see lots and lots and lots of kissing.
Yeah, we see it ourselves.
What do you think about that? A lady will kiss somebody in this movie.
Yeah.
The next movie.
Kissing
yes. And so at the end of the day, you realize that there's a lot of kissing going on.
Yeah.
What do you think about that as a pastor and as somebody who can advise people concerning such issues?
Okay, so recently I was in the movie The Billionaire's Wife.
Okay.
And it was on Aquaba Magic.
Okay.
And I was a stepdad who was trying to take advantage of my stepdaughter.
Oh, okay.
I know people would see stuff like that and say, but why is a pastor doing this? But I think that we need to understand the power of the creatives, the power of the arts. We are supposed to educate, we're supposed to entertain, we're supposed to inform. And so what I do on set, that's why we say he plays a role. It's a character you assume to tell a story. And the end game is for the story, when watched or listened to shape character. So I was privileged, or I should say I am privileged, that when I realized that I wanted to be in the filmmaking space, I went to school. So I have a degree in filmmaking.
Ooh.
Okay, and over there we had acting coaches and lecturers who taught us how to make people believe what we do as our craft. So we have film kisses, but that is not to say that people do not kiss. If it is me and you and we're comfortable and we want to do it, it's up to us.
Okay.
I remember I played a role in a movie, and my girlfriend then, the lady that I wanted to marry then, was my girlfriend. And that's why she got the role.
Oh, okay.
So they thought that it would be natural, it would be normal for Ken to kiss this lady. I nearly mentioned her name. But unfortunately, as we filmed, the lady was like, my girlfriend was like, but Ken, why are you not kissing me? And I said, is the camera getting the kisses? Is the director getting what they want? He said, as for that one, I don't know. I'm here with you. And I asked the director, are you okay? And the director said, I didn't even know that he was not kissing me. So it is about knowing your craft and how to deploy it. Else, it comes with a lot of hazards. I initially, when we started acting, we were excited about the kissing roles more than the killing roles, because you believe that you can have some warmth. After all, Solomon talks about it. If two lie together, they feel warmth, and people get it wrong and use it in any way.
Yeah.
But the truth of the issue is that, what if you liked the kiss?
What if you liked it?
Yes. What happens next? Would you be able to stay away from it? I have had situations where people have had to have a facade of a relationship because they kissed on set.
Oh.
And maybe the lady liked it or the guy liked it, or they both liked it.
Okay.
And then it triggers a certain relationship. That's why they say people in the performing arts, when they are together, it doesn't last.
Okay.
Because it is just a spasm. On a moment,
Yeah.
there's some liking, some enjoyment that you get. After that, character and all other things come into play, and you realize that maybe you don't like the person.
Okay.
So I would say that if you want to act just because you want to kiss, then you are starting wrong. Whatever you want to do, you need to know the rules of engagement and learn to be the very best in it. Stamata, imagine the gynecologist. he has to attend to ladies.
Yeah.
So if he's doing what he has to do with a certain negative mindset, what becomes of him?
Exactly.
You know. So yeah, some kiss, it comes with its own complications and connotations.
Okay.
But maturity would have to make you know that there are rules of engagement and you have to stick to it. So yeah, we've done it before. We've learnt our lessons and we've learned to do the right things.
All right. Are there any codes of ethics concerning such things in the movie industry?
Oh yes. There are. It's just that people flout it.
Okay.
But you see, any director who directs a kissing scene and have the characters kiss naturally, intimately, and if that is what the script requires, he will not say stop. Because he wants to get it.
Okay.
So, like I was saying, you need to get the rules of engagement, know what the limits are, know what the things you need to do are. The thing is that people, because they do not master their crafts and are not able to make people believe what they are doing, are forced to do what they should not do. And so they flout the ethics.
Okay.
You understand? But yeah, there are.
But okay,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying you really.
I am humbled.
But what do you think about online dating?
I have tried it before.
Mm-hmm.
I think it comes with its pros and cons, but I think that the negatives outweigh the positives.
Oh.
Truth of the issue matter is that even when we are together and we see each other on a daily basis, pretense can still be part of the relationship.
Exactly.
Now, you're somewhere, I am somewhere. It gets even more tricky when time zone differentials set in.
Okay.
It even ends up affecting productivity, and sometimes it affects the health of people involved in it. There are people who are dating people in certain time zones that they can only talk to them at midnight. Science proves that if you constantly lose your sleep at midnight, it has an effect on your health. So that one is a problem on its own. Now, if it's online and I'm talking to you, I talk to you to believe what I'm telling you.
Exactly.
If it is a video call, I set it in a way that, so like where we are, nobody sees the extent of it. So if we are hiding under a tree somewhere or in a small room somewhere, we can give a facade of us being in a big expanse of space. And that's the same thing with relationships. You're supposed to, you see, I said communication is 25% of every good relationship, every good marriage. If you're in a marriage or a relationship and you cannot communicate freely, there's a problem. But even when we talk about communication, people just think that I talk, you hear, and you understand me. Or I talk and you hear. But it goes beyond that because we have non-verbal communication. And so if we are not able to build a relationship knowing that I am knowing everything about my partner so that I can form a thought or come to an informed decision as to whether I can spend it, because it's an eternity thing. It's the only thing you get your certification before you go into it.
Exactly.
What that means is that it is a step you're taking that you don't have to come back. You have passed the exam, you have your certificate, so make it work. That's why they give you the certificate before you go into it. And so if you are building the relationship and you don't build it right, there's a problem. Now, people try to dichotomize dating away from the marriage itself and all that, but dating is very important. That is when you should be able to know that when I get married to Ken and he gets to the house, he will not wash his hands, he will not brush his teeth before sleeping. Online dating does not expose you to all that. I'm going to talk to Martha. Martha is my love. I have to make Martha see me at my best. So there's a deception in online dating. I'm not saying that all online datings are not clean, but I think that in the majority, in Ghana 50+1, you are president. So in the majority, online dating gives people the chance to pretend. And my premise is that even physical dating, people are pretending. Even after wearing their wedding bands, you will find out something new about your partner. And so if you don't get a chance to build the foundation right for the relationship, you're having a memorial service before you die.
What's that here?
Yeah.
You know, this thing has been lingering on my mind. Now, there's this term, understanding. All right. I know you are married, but I like you. So we can date. You know. What do you think about that?
It's a no.
Why?
No, it is a no. You see, so we've heard all manner of things. Now some pastors are even jumping into the fray. I am a young pastor, so I'm careful of what I say, but I try to speak the truth. So God said, it is not good for man to be alone. Scripture. So I will create for him a helpmeet, not a helpmate. A car can have multiple mates. A driver can have, depending on the type of bus it is, you can have 2 mates, you can have 3 mates. You can have a mate in charge of shouting and calling out passengers and letting them know destination. You can have a mate in charge of collection of the fare. But in this case, it said a helpmeet. It is not good for man to be alone, so I will create. It's not good for Ken to be alone, so I will create Martha for Ken. He didn't leave it there because God had the power to speak a woman into being. He now puts man to sleep and takes his rib and creates that wonderful thing that man saw and could not think again. So if you find your rib mate that was created into the woman for you, your joy is complete. It wasn't God that said, this thing that I've created is, no, it's the man saw the woman and said, wow, this is bone of my bone. The man became a poet. And it was one woman. So if God in his infinite wisdom created a woman to be a helpmate for a man, then why the multiplicity in relationships? So if Martha was created for Ken, it is so wrong for Ken to say, I now want to have a relationship and I call it understanding. What understanding? Most of those relationships rather create complications and problems.
I see.
So for me, it's what is understanding? The understanding I want to know is that Bible says that the eyes of your understanding will be opened. So if there's any understanding I want to understand God and his things and his ways. If I want to understand anything, I want to understand my partner that God gave me as a helpmeet. If I want to understand anything, I want to understand my children, understand my parents, so that I can give honor to my parents and give love to my wife and give love to my family. So it's a total no. Trust me. We are in this country and we've heard of a relationship that was an understanding relationship ending up in court.
Yeah.
So what happened with the understanding? So it is just sometimes
along the way,
that
bond develops. You know.
You see, listen, Samantha, anything you give yourself to produces back to you. Anything. So if you can see two people meet, and the first time they met, they did not understand each other. They did not like each other. But before long, you realize they get married. There are people that meet for the first time, and even butterflies are too big animals to be in them. They cannot stand, they cannot think, they cannot do anything without seeing the person. Then suddenly, they don't want to see each other. So what happened? So as for building of bonds, anything you give yourself to produces back to you. So if you give yourself to good, it produces back to you. If you give yourself to love, it produces back to you. If you give yourself to hatred, it produces back to you. So you have, and I always say to my amazing church people that your worship of God is something that you have to be intentional about. You have to decide that I want to love God and his nature. It's the same thing with a relationship. I want to love my partner for who my partner is, and I want to be the change agent for my partner even without rubbing it in the face. I tell people when I have the opportunity to counsel them that your partner may have done the most dastard of all things, but your approach to solving it can make him better or worse. Because anything you tackle produces results. It's either good or bad. So if I know that my wife is Martha, and Martha has spoken to me in a manner that I don't like, instead of saying, Martha, I dislike how you spoke to me, I can say, Martha, I want to know if you're comfortable when I speak to you like this. Wow. So you realize that it will help it grow. It helps you get to know each other. That's why after a while, couples look like each other. Because, so that understanding, as for that chemistry, it will build. There's no way you would rub two things together and don't be eat. It's a principle. So whether understanding helps you build a relationship or not, the understanding, once it is not right, once that is not your soulmate, that's not the helpmeet God gave you, it is not. You know that, maybe to end that one, you know that wrong things are always nice.
Yeah. They're very attractive.
But it doesn't make it the right.
Wow.
It doesn't make it the right. So you have to be intentional that this thing that I am doing is right, so I'll do it. This thing that I'm doing is wrong, but I'll do it. It is a choice you're making. It says, which way are you choosing? The narrow or broad? Make up your mind. So for me, it's a no to go into a relationship of understanding. Don't even do a dating of understanding. Don't take a boyfriend of understanding. Be sure what you want to achieve, know the end game, and work towards it. And that's how you can get better and not bitter.
Wow.
I think understanding can make you bitter and not better.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow. We are in the Makers Chapel International, listening to Pastor Senyo Ken Fiati. Wow, Pastor Ken.
Yeah.
You know, there are times that you love somebody. You have good intentions towards the person, but you realize that there is financial constraints, so you will not be able to marry as quickly as you may want to. Is it right for the lady, to sponsor everything so that she could be with the love?
Okay, so Bible says help meet. Yeah. You found somebody that you love. You want to settle down with the person. The person doesn't have it all, and you have.
Yes.
What makes you a wife? You're supposed to be a helpmeet.
Okay.
You see, because of experiences that people have gone through, it becomes like a frown on certain actions that a woman should not sponsor a marriage. You know that is the one you love. You know that one that you love loves you back. You know that relationship is right. And you know that one of the ways that you can flee sexual lust, because until you are married, whatever you do sexually is against God. So if it is in sponsoring the relationship that can make you have what you love, what is wrong with that? The problem is, and I have to admit, that mostly the problem comes from men. that when the woman loves you so much and wants to spend on you, spend on your relationship, spend to take care of your children, then we tend to think that they have gone bonkers. And I want to say it strongly that any man who sees the help of a woman as, excuse me in quotes, with all deep reverence, as stupidity on the part of the woman, you need a psychiatrist to check you out. Because that's what is creating the problem that we have now. If you have, you're supposed to help. And because that's what God created you to be. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I see everything wrong with us, the men, taking the women for granted and making them look like they have gone bonkers for helping us out. So the ladies out there, if you have and you can help your guy and you know for a fact that that is the relationship that you have to be in, why not? If you need to help a man out, you see, men have ego problems. A man would lack and will have needs, but will want to be macho about it and suffer. A lot of men are weaker than the women. If you can help them, help them. And I always say that the best form of help is when you're giving it without expecting anything back. So you're doing it because you know that is what is right and that's what you want to do. Don't expect anything back. If you're doing it to buy the love of a man, then don't do it. If you're doing it to make the man marry you instead of another person, don't do it. But if you're doing it because you believe that that is your soulmate, that is the one God created you from, please do it hurriedly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Pastor Norbert is enjoying the show. He said, great show.
Wait, thank God.
Thank you.
I think the kudos is to you. You
Oh.
created it.
All right, the last but not the least.
Okay.
What do you say about two people who love each other staying together in an excluded place for a very long time?
Cohabitation is dangerous. No, it's just like saying that I know how to aspire live by petrol without getting bent.
Okay.
It's dangerous. Cohabitation. I have a movie script on it.
Oh.
I'll be filming one of these days.
Okay.
Cohabitation can be very dangerous. If you have what it takes to cohabit and you believe that you love each other, just legalize it. Because, listen, I ask myself questions a lot about any and everything. And in growing up, I used to ask myself why our forefathers could marry early, could marry and remain married. Divorce rate is higher now than in those days. Truth of the issue is that, not to sound profane or vulgar, in times of old, you see that I can't say aketesia, oh, kata won't. So you are covering yourself, hiding and preserving something. So the man becomes anxious to know what is beneath that dress. But in this day and age, we see everything. We see the shape, we see how it looks like, we see the mold. And so it is lust that drives the man to want to be with a woman. I have seen it. I want to taste and see how it tastes. Instead of, okay, there's something hidden, something mysterious about this person. I want to discover it. Let me marry the person. Once I know that our hearts connect, let me marry the person and have that thing to myself. That thing that is my preserve. In cohabitation, you cannot say, Martha, I have finished bathing, so excuse me so that I can dress up. You know, most of the time, that's how it starts. Oh, once Ken is done bathing, Martha would excuse Ken. The vice versa. After a period of time, it doesn't matter. Then, it doesn't matter, sorry, your name is sweet, so I can mention. Then it becomes normal for you to. Then it's normal for you to hug. Then it's normal for you to sleep in bed naked. Then when something happens, you only say, I regret, but you regret when you do it again. If we say we rebuke, then we rebook and we book. And so I think that cohabitation is a no.
Okay.
If you can help each other towards legalizing it. If you can't, please, if there's any other arrangements you can make, please make it. Cohabitation is dangerous. That one I will not.
All right. Pastor K.
Yeah.
Briefly.
Yeah.
What would you do if your wife denies you sex for 1 year? Would you go for it?
She won't deny me. She won't dare. You see, the thing is that Bible says, and the marriage bed undefiled. One of the things that causes the marriage bed to be defiled is when we prevent our partners from enjoying what is legitimately theirs. Listen, reason I said that she will not dare is the fact that if you grow the relationship such that you know each other well, you understand your sexual language. I don't know whether you heard the story where the lady said, the man said, I'm tired of you, I'm not marrying you anymore. And the lady said, okay, can I take a shower and leave? So the man had packed his things, took a shower, came back, and by the time she was smearing pomade, they were in bed making out. You should know each other so much so that you know your sex language. So if she tries to deny you, you know how to bait her. Haven't you bought things from the grocery when you didn't want to buy? It is how it is packaged that makes you do that.
Wow.
That aside, if communication is good in your relationship, if you're committed to each other, and you know that apart from the two of you agreeing to stay away from it, you know that something is triggering that denial, you address it and try to find a solution. As for going out of your marital bed, it's a no. Because I know that. So one of the things that I had to pray about when the calling of God was so strong on my life was to pray to break every and any soul tie. Any person you are being involved in, there has been an exchange. And I thank God for the life of Dr. Michael Brady Mitchell. He broke it down for us to understand soul ties so well. So a lot of us were created with 100% of something, but soul tie makes us fall. So if I am at 100 and you are at 70, and we have an engagement and there's a soul tie, I cease to be at 70, at 100. You cease to be at 70. We mainly or mostly become an average of what we are. So you may come up and I may fall. If I move from 70, 100, we strike the average is about 85. My math is not too good. Then the next time I get a soul tie with somebody whose spirituality is at 15%. Imagine where I'm falling to. So going out of your marriage never will solve your marriage problems. It will rather create complications. Let me just quickly put it in perspective. Imagine you go out of your marriage and you get love, you get care, you get better culinary services, you get better services in bed. Do you think you come back to your wife? When you come back to your wife, you come back a pretentious person. So going outside marriages to solve marital problems is a no. And sometimes, Samantha, the problem is with the people we call counselors. We have grown to put people who are advisors as counselors. And a lot of churches are guilty. I have studied counseling, right from guidance and counseling, premarital counseling, marital counseling. We've dealt with even post-marital counseling from school. And I apply it in my marriage. And I thank God that I had a good counselor that guided us in our counseling. Counselors are not advisors. A lot of them are parading themselves, even calling themselves counselors, yet they themselves, they need help. So you go to churches, and it's painful that churches are places where we are supposed to be shaped right, but churches are rather causing problems in marriages. Because we say we want somebody who's been married 20 years. 20 years of what? It could be 20 years of problems in his or her marriage.
Exactly.
So that person is now coming to advise you on how to build your marriage with the cracks in his marriage. That person's foundation for his marriage is not right, but he's coming to help you build a foundation for your marriage with advice that is wrong. Any serious counselor, and I want you, the young ones, to look out for this. Any serious counselor will guide the two of you to shape your relationship so as it will work. No serious counselor would advise you that this is how you should prepare your food for your partner, because no two people are the same. Martha, I know your twin. You are not the same.
Yeah.
Even identical twins who look so much like each other are not the same when it comes to thinking and how they approach things. And so the problem sometimes is the counseling that we get. If your marriage is not working, the only person who can make it work is you, with reliance on God. Going out of that marriage to find another person to solve your marital problem would rather deepen the cracks.
I have been blessed because I've learned a lot. Pastor Ken.
Antimatter.
You've been deep, man.
We're trying.
Yeah. God bless you so much.
God bless you too for having us.
Hope you come again.
I think we're going to continue.
Oh. Thank you so much for joining our live stream today. Let's do this again next week. Thank you. Bye.